Little Wonder by Robin Muller. Once in a big city, there lived an organ grinder named Sylvester and his monkey Hero. They were partners. Every morning, they took their place on a busy street corner. While Sylvester turned the handle of an old-fashioned organ, Hero clowned and did tricks. The crowds cheered Hero's performances, and the coins rained down. At the end of each day, Sylvester and Hero strolled back to their little apartment. "We're like cream cheese on a bagel," Sylvester would say. "All the better for being together." One day, a talent scout saw Hero's performance. "I'll put you in the movies. I'll put you on stage. I'll make you a star," he told the monkey. Hero somersaulted with excitement. Sylvester packed Hero's things and said goodbye. "Don't forget to write," he called as the car sped away. Soon there were pictures of Hero in every magazine and newspaper. The organ grinder was so proud of his old partner's success that he pinned a big glossy photo of him over the bureau. Sylvester carried on grinding out the old tunes, but without Hero beside him, no one stopped to toss a coin in his cup. "If I'm going to earn a living as an organ grinder," Sylvester sighed, "I'd better get another partner." He went to a pet shop, and he looked at all of the monkeys, but none of them seemed quite right. As he was about to leave, the shop owner stopped him. "If I can't interest you in a monkey, maybe I can show you something else, something very special." He led the organ grinder to the back of the store. Trembling inside a cage was a droop-eared, hang-tailed little dog. "This," said the shop owner, "this is Buttersea Boom Beagle. And Buttersea Boom Beagles make a sound so unique. Why, a forest of songbirds couldn't compete with a singing dog," he said knowingly. "You'll soon be ankle-deep in pennies." The little dog looked up at the organ grinder and timidly wagged her tail. "I'll take her," said Sylvester. Everyone was astonished to see the organ grinder with a dog instead of a monkey. "She's a Battersea Boom Beagle," Sylvester told the crowd, "and Battersea Boom Beagles make a sound as sweet as a songbird's tweet, tweet. It's lucky for me no one else bought her." The people were anxious to see the little dog perform. "Does she do tricks?" one asked. "Let's see her clown," another called. "Make her sing." They all cried. An old woman held out a penny, but the dog just cowered behind Sylvester's boot. "The dog's useless," a voice roared from the crowd. "Little wonder no one wanted it." "Wanted her," said Sylvester firmly, "and Little Wonder will be her name. She's a special little dog. Just wait and see." Sylvester showed Little Wonder all of Hero's tricks. He scampered, bounced, and stood on his head. He somersaulted, walked on his hands, and rolled his eyes. He even twirled a coin at the end of his nose. But the little dog just sat and stared. "Won't you even sing?" pleaded Sylvester. "That's what Buttersea Boom Beagles do." He demonstrated by wailing to the music of the organ. But Little Wonder didn't make a sound. "I'm going to prove that you are a little wonder," said Sylvester, "even if I have to change the act." The organ grinder tried new songs and new costumes. He even tried changing places with the little dog. Nothing worked. Together they earned barely enough to pay rent, and many nights they went hungry. On those nights, Sylvester would look longingly at the picture of Hero and sigh. Soon Sylvester became ill. He shivered and coughed and was too weak to get out of bed. The neighbors grew concerned. "He needs some chicken soup," said one. "He needs a mustard plaster," said another. "He needs a doctor," said a third. So they called a doctor, who called an ambulance, which took Sylvester to the hospital. They were so busy that they forgot all about Little Wonder. When everyone had left, Little Wonder peeked out from under a chair. She sniffed around, but Sylvester was gone. Little Wonder missed the organ grinder. She missed the way that he would twirl, bounce, and stand on his head. She missed the way he would walk on his hands, somersault, and roll his eyes. She missed the way that he would wail loudly at the sound of the organ. But most of all, she missed curling up on Sylvester's lap in the evening. She loved Sylvester, and she wondered when he would return home. Little Wonder stared at the door and listened. The rain fell, cars and trucks rumbled by, an alley cat screeched in the darkness. All night, Little Wonder waited. In the morning, the rain stopped and the sun came out. Milk trucks passed, bottles clinking, children laughed. The day grew warm, and Little Wonder waited. Horns honked, mothers called their children for dinner, an ice cream vendor rang his bell, and Little Wonder waited. Evening came. Men stood on the corner and talked. Radios blared. Parents sang their children to sleep. And still, Little Wonder waited. Soon it was dark and everything grew still. Little Wonder sat motionless, waiting by the door. Suddenly something jiggled in the lock. A knob turned and the door swung open. Sylvester had come home. Overjoyed, Little Wonder was about to run to the figure in the doorway, but something stopped her. It wasn't the organ grinder. Little dog shrank back into the shadows as a burglar stepped into the room. The man yanked open cupboards, overturned the bed, and emptied the drawers. He took everything, even Sylvester's organ. The burglar was about to leave when something caught his eye. Little Wonder watched as the man snatched the photo of Hero from the wall and stuffed it into his sack. Little Wonder knew she had to stop the intruder, but what could she do against such a big man? Little Wonder thought of Sylvester, and she mustered up all her courage. As the burglar turned to leave, Little Wonder bounded into the light, prancing wildly at the man's feet. The burglar was so startled that he lost his balance, coming down with a crash. Little Wonder didn't waste a moment. She twirled, bounced, and stood on her head. Then she walked on her front paws, somersaulted, and rolled her eyes. The man roared with anger. "Beat it, you screwy mutt!" he yelled, and he kicked Little Wonder into a corner. Clutching the sack, the burglar stumbled to the door. There was only one thing left to do. Opening her mouth, Little Wonder let out a sound. The sound was not like a songbird's sweet tweet. It was not like the sound that Sylvester made when singing. It was a sound that began deep and rumbling and came out full and round and booming. The kind of sound Buttersea Boom Beagles are famous for. The blast shook the building. Windows rattled, pitchers fell, and sleepers were thrown from their beds. "It's an earthquake! It's a volcano! Call the police! Call the fire department! Call my mother!" They called all three. Soon the street was filled with police cars and fire trucks. When the rescuers searched the building, they found Little Wonder sitting on the stunned burglar. The contents of his sack were scattered on the floor beside them. The man was led away by police, and he shouted out, "That dog's a siren, a horn, and a blasted burglar alarm rolled into one. It ought to be locked up." Little Wonder was the talk of the town. The newspaper printed a picture of her cradled in Sylvester's arms. The headline read, "Booming Beagle Bags Burglar." "I always knew you had it in you," chuckled Sylvester. "From now on, we're going to be like chicken soup with rice, together forever." Little Wonder wagged her tail. When Sylvester came home, he gave up on being an organ grinder. Instead, he and Little Wonder made their fortune selling toy Buttersea Boom Beagles that twirled, bounced, and rolled their eyes, and when they opened their mouths made a sound so loud it blew your hat off.